Wondering if you should read Show Your Work by Austin Kleon? You definitely should, I would highly recommend it. The book helped me to understand why it's a good idea to share your work. Let's talk about structure. This video has two parts. In the first part I talk about why it's a good idea to share your work, and in the second part I will share 3 of my favorite ideas. By the way, my name is Eve, I'm from Germany, and on this channel I talk about the creative process and mindful productivity. Why should you show your work? You could hoard all the things you're working on and keep it for yourself. It's kind of what I did during my last year of university. I consumed a lot of content, but I had no outlet to share my ideas and insights, and it was very unfulfilling. And it's when the idea of starting something like a blog, podcast, or YouTube channel was born. Today I know it's better to share. You could share something that you're working on, or something that you experienced, or something that you learned in a course or in a book that inspired you. On his website, Austin Kleon shares 3 reasons why it makes sense to show your work. He points out that if you document the process, it helps you to progress, because it helps you to keep yourself accountable. You have to show up and do the work. If you look back at the things you already done, you see how far you have come. Self-promotion has a negative connotation, but it doesn't have to be that way. Sharing is generous, and if you share something of value, you build a connection to people who appreciate it. Sharing your knowledge could result in self-promotion as a byproduct without even focusing on it. It's about building a tribe. It's about sharing your work in progress with people who are interested in what you have to say. Through sharing, we dive deeper, build trust, and learn from each other. Sharing your work and building an audience has many positive side effects. You make new friends, maybe you find even your future partner, you learn many new skills, you could even get a job offer out of it. You could also turn your passion project into a professional career, like many YouTubers already did. Sharing your work with others can help you to learn as you get valuable feedback. The more you share, the faster you learn. I thought that my first video was really good till I got some feedback. It taught me that I was wrong and I had to improve. It helped me to come out of my bubble and correct my wrong assumptions. Now it's time to build your own feedback loop. The biggest hurdle I have, and I guess many others have, is that we feel like we are not competent enough to share our thoughts with the world. I learned from Austin Kleon that you don't have to be an expert, and this idea was very liberating to me. At the beginning I had this mental barrier that I have to be an expert before I have the right to talk about a certain topic. With this mindset, I would never start anything new. Austin Kleon points out that it's completely okay to just share what you know, even if you're just a couple of steps ahead of the person reading or watching your content. Sometimes amateurs have more to teach us than experts. It's because amateurs have a fresh perspective on a certain topic and can make unusual connections. Another thing, as an amateur, people are very forgiving because you're just figuring things out and you don't label yourself as an expert. The best way to get started on showing your work is to figure out what you would like to learn and then make a commitment to learn it in front of others. Become a documentarian of what you do. If you talk about work, it could mean 2 things. It could be the finished work, or it could be the process you went through, the struggles and the creative process. Back then, artists and creatives thought that nobody cares about the process, that they thought that it's boring and it's not worth sharing, and they kept it private. In Show Your Work, Austin Kleon highly suggests to take people behind the scenes and to document the process so that people can see how your art or just your work is getting created and crafted. Imagine you could see on YouTube how a certain designer that is today a legend started 20 years ago. Wouldn't it be interesting to see their journey of how they mastered their craft, how they started and what they did from the beginning, so you can learn what mindset they had and how they thought and how they developed? For me personally, it would be very valuable, interesting and inspiring. If you start documenting your journey today, you build your own body of work that you can look back to, but also people in the future will be able to watch it and see your struggles, your mindsets and your path that you went through. In the book there's the story from Chris Hadfield, former astronaut and commander of the International Space Station. In the story, he and his family were sitting around the dinner table thinking about ways how to generate interest for the Canadian Space Agency that was suffering major budget cuts. They came up with the idea of documenting the daily activities and work, not the fancy one. Through this approach, over the next 5 missions, millions of people were watching them. Yeah, you're right, not everybody is an artist or astronaut, but still, the thing we are doing could be of value to somebody who is interested in it or learning that. There's this idea of document versus create that Gary Vee popularized. The idea, you should document what you're already doing to be able to publish at a much higher pace instead of creating everything from scratch. Thing is, creating from scratch could mean getting paralyzed because it's hard and because we tend to aim for original and unique ideas, as what we share should be kind of smart. If you document the things you're already doing, it's easier because they don't have to be yours, they don't have to be super original, creative, and it can free you up. It's exactly what I'm doing on this channel. I document the process and share it with you guys. By the way, if you're starting something new, take footage from the beginning. Oftentimes we forget about it and then we have nothing to share. And later, if you start sharing, share in small bits as frequently as possible. Tell good stories. As Aristotle said, a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. At the beginning there's an initial problem, work done to solve the problem, and at the end a final solution. Try to create a story that fits your process. Keep your audience always in mind. Speak to them directly in a language that they can understand, value their time, don't spam, learn to write, learn to speak. Everybody loves a good story, but it's hard to create a good story. It takes a lot of time and practice. Let's talk how I use this idea. For example, in my YouTube videos I try to start with an hook. This hook gives an initial promise about what to expect from my videos. In the middle part I try to fulfill this promise. At the end I summarize briefly and remind the viewer to take action. I use elements like music, B-roll and graphics to keep the viewer engaged, and since ASMR we know that you can use acoustic and visual stimulation to make your videos more interesting. Don't quit the show, stick around. Every career is full of ups and downs. The people who get what they want are those who stick around long enough. Don't quit prematurely and be consistent. Being consistent is like stacking the deck in your favor. Alright guys, I would highly recommend this book. It was very inspiring. Now it's time for you to show your work. By the way, if you're interested, here's a video about what I learned in Matt Diavella's Master YouTube course, and here's another video about 5 mindsets that helped me to start on YouTube. Alright, bye bye.